Welcome everyone to today's session. It's great to have you join us today. My name is Mitchell and I'm the International Officer here at University of Staffordshire, working with the International Recruitment team. And today's webinar is all about accommodation. So you're starting university and you must be concerned about where you're going to live as a student. Don't worry about it because we're here today to talk about all things accommodation and how you can find somewhere to stay and somewhere you can call a home away from home during your time here at University of Staffordshire. Okay, so in today's webinar, we'll go through quite a few different accommodation options for you. So I will kick it off with a brief introduction about the university. And on the call, we have other staff members from different areas of the university's accommodation here speaking to you as well. For our on-campus accommodation, we have Paul. For Res Life and all things living on campus, we have Ben, and for your off-campus accommodation, we have Michelle from GreenPad here to share information with you. We will also have a question and answer session at the end, so if you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat box and we can get your questions at the end of the session. Okay. Without any further ado, okay, so our University of Staffordshire is spread across 3 cutting-edge campuses. Our main site is right here in Stoke-on-Trent. Now, in recent years, we've invested more than £80 million in the campus, so you can really take your learning to the next level. We have various shops, spas and leisure spots, as well as our on-site accommodation. We also have our Stafford campus, which is our Centre for Health Innovation as well as our amazing London campus that's based in here, East Stafford. So if you've received an offer to study at University of Staffordshire, you will be either studying in Stoke-on-Trent, our main campus, Stafford or London. Now, just before I hand it over to Paul, I thought it might be beneficial for you to just have a quick peek of what our Stoke-on-Trent area is like. So Stoke-on-Trent is a city also known as the Potteries, and it's a world capital of ceramics. It has a real creative buzz, including so many businesses as well as some set up by our graduates. Now, just so I don't bore you with what the city is like, I'm going to leave you to see what our students have had to say about the city.
We know Staffordshire is a great place to study.
But it's also a great place to live.
It's a great place to have fun.
It's a great place for culture and heritage.
No one can top it. They keep coming back for their style, their big smile. Go on, child.
It's a great place for thrill.
You know what you gotta do. Get wild. You ain't gotta play it cool.
It's a great place to relax.
Play it cool. Get wild. Take a rocket to the moon. Get wild. Get wild. Get wild. They keep coming back.
Staffordshire has so much going for everyone. Even these guys love it. We can't wait to welcome you to the start of your adventure.
Amazing. So you've seen the video on what our students have had to say about Stoke-on-Trent. So without any further ado, I will hand it over to Paul now, who will talk to you about our on-campus accommodation options.
Thank you, Mitchell. So yes, welcome everyone. My name's Paul Donnelly. I'm the Applicant Engagement Manager at the university. So my team essentially look after the accommodation application process. So I've just got a few slides to go through which will talk to you a little bit about that so that you know what to expect when you look to apply for the university accommodation and how that process works. So obviously, when you're taking a big step in terms of moving to a new country for many of you, and obviously what you want to do is make sure that you're coming into an environment where you feel safe, you feel comfortable, and you feel supported. So we try and do that from the outset in terms of this process. Now, when we talk about our university accommodation, you'll find out a little bit later about these different types, I imagine. But we the university accommodation, it is independent living. So you know, you'll be living independently. So there are sort of procedures that you'll need to follow in terms of being able to self-evacuate if needed, things like that. But in terms of the accommodation types we have available, now obviously our first semester ran from September, so there are some accommodation types that are limited in terms of their availability at the moment. So I've just put 4 types up there. So the Leek Road halls are standard halls of residence, and they are what people might see as traditional halls of residence. So you'll have your own room with your own bed and your own desk and things like that, but you will be using some shared facilities with other students who are on there. So you'll have shared bathroom facilities, shared kitchen and living facilities, etc. Then we have limited availability in our Leek Road houses, which again, like the halls, is shared bathroom, shared kitchens. It's just that there are smaller numbers that will be in a Leek Road house. So we tend to have a lot of our health students who live in those houses because of the type of courses that they're doing and making it so that they're on placement quite a lot. So they often will come in and out at different times of the day. So we tend to use them for that purpose. Now, the other 2 types of accommodation, so Clarice Cliff Remodelled and College Court, is ensuite accommodation. So what that means is that you will have your own bathroom facilities within your room. So obviously your own bathroom, your own shower, but you'll still also have the kitchen, shared kitchen facilities, etc. So you still get that community feel and integrate with other students who are living in your accommodation. Now, what happens? So obviously with the applicant engagement team, we also look after the course applications in my team as well. So it dovetails really well. So as applicants of the university, you would have already dealt with many members of the team. So as international students, as well as the recruitment side, such as Mitchell, you would have dealt with people like Paris and Michaela in my team, who, if you've had any questions, etc. And also your course applications would have been processed by our international admissions team who were within our team. So what that means is that we already have a strong relationship with their applicants by the time that they get to apply for their accommodation. So what you will need to do at the point in which you're ready to apply is you would register with in our accommodation portal. So all of the information that you'll need will be in a portal so that you can log in and access it whenever and wherever you want. Now, the point in which you do that would be 48 hours after you've accepted your offer from the university. So if we've made you an offer and you've accepted that, leave it 48 hours so that our systems can kind of speak to each other to update that information, and then you'll be able to register yourself on the portal so that you can start an application with us. So that's the first point of call. Then you would put your application through and you choose which accommodation that you would like. Now, when you do that, we ask that you choose all the different types of accommodation, but put them in preference order, so that if we don't have the first choice that you would like, we can see what your preference order would be from there. You would also need to enter some details, obviously, as part of the application process, and we ask for things that will help us in allocating your accommodation. So we may ask for some sort of medical information, or we will ask for some sort of medical information if that's relevant to you. We also ask things like gender sharing preferences. So do you want single gender accommodation? Would you prefer mixed gender accommodation, etc.? And there are other things in there as well that we will ask you. So we'll ask you things like if you have any criminal convictions, for example, things like that. Once you get to the end, you can review that application and submit it, and that will then be reviewed by our team. Now, the January accommodation applications are live at the moment, so you can log in and do that if you've accepted your offer and you've got to that stage of doing that within the last 48 after the last 48 hours, I should say. Now, in terms of support with the application, again, that would be the applicant engagement team. So I've just put some details on there for you. You can contact us by telephone. We've got our telephone number there. And also, we've got a separate email address for accommodation inquiries. So if it's to do with your application, then you can email us at living@staffs.ac.uk. And as mentioned before, so the telephone number there is exactly the same one that you would ring if you've got an inquiry about your course application. So you're coming through to the same team, we'll know about your situation, and that will help in terms of being able to get the information that you need from us as well. Now, just before I pause and just show you the ResLife portal so you can see what it looks like, just a bit of important information about applying for accommodation this January. So the university is in a very unique situation at the moment where we are introducing our brand new student village from September 2026. So what that means is that some of our accommodation that's currently available will then not be available when we get to September. So at this point, we just want to make it clear that we are currently offering accommodation licenses up until Saturday, the 29th of August. So what that means is that if you apply for accommodation now and you're doing a master's course that might be, say, a full year, or you need longer than Saturday the 29th of August, then what you would have to do at that point is either you can look at a private accommodation from that date onwards, or you can reapply for accommodation with us from September onwards. So that's just something that we have to do because of the transitional period that we're in at the moment. But we will have lots of accommodation available from September. It'll just be different to what we've had up to that point. So that's just the point I wanted to make. Obviously, we've got Ben from ResLife who will be speaking a little later about the accommodation, and also I've put on there that if you're looking for private accommodation, you can do that via GreenPad, and obviously we've got Michelle here who can talk to you a little bit about that as well as we go along. So just bear with me one moment. I'm just going to show you the portal and what that would look like. So hopefully you can all see that on your screen now. So when you apply for registration on the ResLife portal, you will then be sent a code that you'll need to actually then enter, and you'll be able to put your email address will be your username, and you'll be able to select a password that's relevant to you. And then when you get in here, you can see you've got lots of different tiles in here which you'll be able to use during your stay at the university from the point of registering on the portal. Now, to apply, you've got an apply button here, and then you select the pathway, and as you can see, we've got one that's specifically for January. We click through there, and then you'll be able to scroll down, see the different types of accommodation that we have and the prices of those accommodation, and the features that accommodation has, so what's included in that, and you'll be able to then start an application from there. So I just wanted to quickly just show you what you can expect in terms of that, and then you can access other information in there as well. So if we Oh, it's just logged me out. But on that ResLife portal, you can also communicate with us. That's where things like your induction will be available when you get through to the end of the process. And that's basically the place where all of your accommodation needs can be met in terms of the information that you need. So I'll stop sharing that. And then I think, Mitchell, are you able to share the presentation again?
Yes, we'll do.
And
Just a moment.
And I'll pass over to Ben. I think you're on mute, Ben.
Gets me every time. I was just starting by saying good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for attending today. So my name is Ben Howe. I am the ResLife manager, and my role is to look after everyone that lives in the accommodation at the university. So I have a team of assistants as well that can assist you on your day-to-day life, whether or not it's issues with your accommodation or just looking for advice and guidance. We're able to support you through that. Before I start going through the presentation, I know that Paul wanted to have show you a few of the accommodations. I'm just going to share one of my screens and I'm going to talk you through the accommodation that we have at this moment in time. So if I can just share this screen and just confirm, Paul, can everyone see this?
Yes, we can see.
Fantastic. So as you can see, the accommodation for students starting in January 2026. I'm going to show you our offerings that we have, and it has the prices here. As you can also see, these are fully available on the website at the top here, and I can share the link into the chat also. But where we were talking about the accommodation, we've got different types. We've got halls and houses. So as you can see here, we've got a location called Clariscliffe Court, where we have a classic bronze and a classic silver offering. So I just wanted to talk you through these offerings and what they are. So in regards to Clariscliffe and the silver offering, we have started to bring in Clariscliffe in line with our new village. So with our new village, essentially Clariscliffe will be staying with us and we will be offering the silver items. We are currently in a second phase of this being redeveloped, and we have the third phase, which is the classic bronze area, being redeveloped in the summer of 2026. So with this part here, I just wanted to show you that currently the price for this area is £162. Bills are included, and I'm going to pick up with that and what's offering within the bills later on. And you can see that you will either be sharing with either shared kitchen accommodation with either 3 to 12 residents. What's key for this area is that it is ensuited, and a lot of students now in this day and age do want that facility. Again, these are currently offered on a small amount of rooms, so it's important if you do want this offering that you put it as your first request. But I've got some just photos here of the offering that we provide within here, and as you can see, it's very newly updated and with the kitchen areas as well in regard into these spaces, and these are our brand new spaces that we've brought in line this summer. Now, again, with Clariscliffe, the bronze type, that is priced at £135. Again, you have a cross flat that share between 4 and 6 people on this occasion. It's all ensuited, and we also have accessible rooms that are provided on the ground floor if available. Now, within this location, again, all the mod cons are still available, but they are not in line with the new village offering. And as you can see here, we've got example photos of the rooms that you can find on the website also. And then moving down to the heart of the campus, we have our League Road halls. So we have numerous amounts of halls. We've got 2 types where you can see here, we've got League Road halls and our Coalport Premier rooms. Now, in terms of our Premier rooms, essentially these are refurbished rooms that were brought in line a few years ago with the League Road halls, just to give them a nice fresh look in regards to what we wanted to offer. So again, all of the areas that we see in our halls are shared facilities, including kitchens and bathrooms, and they can share up to 14 residents. So the current offering in League Road halls, where we have places called Royal Dalton and Wedgwood and Spode, they are currently priced at £113 per week, and our premium availability is £118 per week. But while we are here, I will just show you a few images of the current areas that we have down in Leek Road Halls. And in terms of Coalport, as you can see here, the location just there. And the laundrette was just a stone's throw away from the accommodation and the outdoor areas that we provide for you also. And then finally, our houses. So our houses can share up to 6 to 12 people. Most of the houses are only 6 people. We just do have a couple of houses that are essentially a larger, grander house that share in between. So, for example, house 2 and house 3 are combined. And within this area, these are priced at £131 per week. And again, they have shared facilities, but more of a townhouse format where you potentially will have a room upstairs and your kitchen facilities downstairs, depending on which room you are given. So I'm just going to quickly, hopefully that will load up and then show you an example of this particular house as well. Again, you can find all this information on the website, and I can see that Michelle's already put that link into the chat. So thank you so very much for doing that for me. And I'm going to start sharing this and go back to the presentation, if that's okay.
I will just re-upload the presentation again, so it takes it off every time. One moment. Okay, so it should take a couple seconds now. Sorry, it's taking a little longer. Yep, I think it's on now.
Fantastic, thank you. And I can take control, can't I?
Yes, you can.
Right. So I'm just going to go to my section of the presentation. Here we go. Oh, okay. I'm going to have a problem here. How do I get off of this screen here? Can you just see the presentation?
I can see the presentation. Yes, so it's just a presentation.
Fantastic. Right. So I just want to talk to you and why you should be staying at the university. So the accommodation that we have is available at our Stoke-on-Trent campus. Okay, so all of our accommodation is at the heart of the Stoke-on-Trent campus itself. So where our location is with that video that you saw at the start with the Catalyst building, we are essentially a few hundred yards away from that main kind of hub area of the campus, and a short location from all of the academic buildings as well. So prime location of all the needs located at the university, whether or not it is shopping facilities for your downtime, socialising facilities close to the Stoke-on-Trent campus and local areas. We have fully equipped self-catered accommodation with everything that you will need. So within there, we have all mark-ons in terms of hobs, grills, kettles, and within your bathroom facilities, as you can see prior that, you've got all the facilities you require for a catered environment. We prioritize your well-being by offering across access to our teams. So within the Res Life team, we come under the umbrella of the Student Life team, where we have student engagement and experience team, the student support team, the student well-being team, and also Res Life as well. So we are one of the front doors into the university living accommodation, but also the university experience as well. And they are available to you on a day-to-day basis. And also we have a 24/7 university campus safety and security team who are friendly and helpful. 24 hours a day, we have some form of security on campus. And if you did live with us, we do have access to an app called Safe Zone, which will directly link to them if you ever did need anybody within accommodation or within the Stoke area. Okay, so as I've said already, available accommodation, we have sharing houses that have shared between 6 residents, shared facilities, and then we have the communal garden spaces for the community. And then just to reiterate, in terms of all of the large halls, we have halls accommodation shared between 4 to 12 people, shared kitchen facilities. We have the en-suited shared bathroom facilities and that are available, and the communal garden spaces for the community. I have realised I haven't spoken about College Court as well. So we have a number of nominated rooms within a location close to College Road called College Court. Within that facility, you can share up to 6 people, which is also en-suited as well. In terms of that location, it is at the heart of all the academic areas where you are a stone's throw walking down the road into your lectures. So that is a nice area to be looking at as well and considering. Okay, so what is included in your license fee? So within your license fee, of course, you have to pay your rent, but within your rent package, we have a gym membership. So when you arrive on campus, if you stay with the university, you are given access to our multi-sport centre, which is in the heart of campus, right on the location of where the university accommodation is, and you have access when it's open throughout your stay. Okay, we have one of the key elements to our experience, which is our Wi-Fi and internet, with speeds of up to 30 megabytes per second. As again, where we have that overnight support provision in terms of the 24/7 security presence, we also have a overnight well-being team. So if you do have any issues or you do have to discuss anything with someone overnight, we have a well-being team that you can take advice from and raise your concerns with also. Within your accommodation, you have all your utility bills in terms of electric. You do not have to pay council tax. And then also you have our on-site laundrettes with a discount package available with our subcontractor and provider wash station. What's great about our laundrette facilities is you can essentially book your laundrette and your washing machine from your bed using your application, and that will tell you what is available, when it's available, and when everything is finished, so you don't have to wait around. Following on from that also, you have your contents insurance. So each room, once you do take on that, you do have insurance of up to £10,000 on that room. So if something is damaged or something does happen, all your contents within there is essentially covered. And then also we have a on-site emergency maintenance team. So within the accommodation, we have our estates and infrastructure team that if you have any issues, you can raise it on our app, which is called the Solve app, and you'll be able to have someone to attend and get it fixed immediately for you. Okay, and then if you are considering to have a bicycle on campus when you are here, and we do have cycle storage provided for all of our residents also. The only thing we don't provide that is very key is your parking availability. There is a small permit charge on campus if you do decide when you do arrive that you want to get a car to go around the community as well. And then you can see that all that information you can find on the on-campus parking. So www.staffs.ac.uk on-campus parking. Okay. So I'm now going to pass you over to Michelle, who is going to be able to talk to you about everything that is GreenPad and private accommodation.
Okay, thanks, Ben. Hello all and welcome, and so glad you can join us. I could imagine there's quite a few from different time zones. I've just lost the slides, sorry.
That might have been my fault because I put myself from stop presenting. So guys, I do apologise.
So we'll just bear with us and we'll see if Mitchell can pop the slides back up. Whilst you're doing that,
should take a couple of seconds now. No, it's all right.
It's okay. Whilst we're waiting for the slides, I can just introduce myself. So I'm Michelle from GreenPad, which is private lettings accommodation. We're part of the Students' Union at the University of Staffordshire. And basically, we've set up where we work with private landlords on off-site accommodation. I'll just get to my slides, start the slides, bear with us.
If you just take control, Michelle, because I've just changed it to your slides. If you just take control, then you should be able to.
Yeah, I'm just navigating forward through the. Oh, that's it. I've got it. Can everyone see? Are we on the GreenPad slide?
Yes, but
All
that's
good,
from
Michelle.
my one, so you would
Okay.
have to take control, Michelle.
Oh, I've got it. Sorry about all this,
Perfect.
guys.
No problem, no
Right.
problem.
Okay, so now I've got control of the slides, so we'll talk through the slides. Okay, so I've told you who I am. There's a small team for GreenPad. As I've mentioned, we are part of the Students' Union on campus at the University of Staffordshire. You may wonder, following Ben's talk, what is the difference between GreenPad and ResLife? So ResLife is basically university halls, although there are houses, etc., but they're based on campus. The accommodation is actually on campus and it's managed directly by the university. GreenPad is different. We don't own any of our properties. We work with private landlords who own properties in the area. To offer private accommodation, it is off campus, but usually within walking distance of the campus. It tends to be between the two sites of College Road and Leek Road, which is literally 5-minute walk maximum. Because of this, the properties do vary. We haven't got all the same accommodation. We do have some with en suites. We have some which are shared houses. And also the prices reflect differently. So the rent can be anything from around 80 to 85, including bills, and up to about 110, 120 pounds. So they do vary. We do visit each and every property of a landlord who wants to advertise with us to ensure that it's compliant, to make sure smoke alarms, heat detectors, and just the standards of the property are what we'd expect for students to be happy to live in. We are free service. There's no application fees or guarantor check fees to the students. There's no viewing fees, and we can obviously offer viewings via video if needs be. Okay, I'll just go on to the next slide. Has it moved across? Yes, it has. Okay.
Yes,
What we don't want is everyone, because I presume you're all arriving January, mid-January, towards the end of January. We don't also want you to panic in your accommodation. There's plenty of accommodation out there, whether it be with ResLife or ourselves. I'm sure you can find exactly what you want. And we don't want you to rush into any decisions. That's particularly important in private accommodation because we want to make sure that your contracts are correct and that you follow all the checklists that I will provide at the end. I'll put all the useful documentation. I'll put links into the chats. If you come in with friends, so if there's a few of you from one country that want to be together, again, if you put that request into us, we can do online videos with you and make sure that the property is correct for you. So give yourself time to sign the contract, which is often called the tenancy agreement. With ResLife, I believe it's called the license agreement. Slightly different things, but just make sure that you're happy with where you want to stay. Now, our properties do vary, like I said, in rent, but they can also vary in what they include. So majority of our properties are all inclusive of rent. So that means they include your gas, electricity and water. Your Wi-Fi is included. They'll also include washing machines. These aren't coin-operated washing machines, so this is, you don't have to pay extra to use the washing machine. Often they include tumble dryers. Sometimes, majority of the times actually, there's TVs in the communal area and the TV licenses are also supplied. Majority of the properties that we have are with double beds. They don't come with single beds. And then in each room, you will also have the usual wardrobe, bedside cabinet, desk, etc. A lot of the landlords now supply Ethernet ports in each room also, so that you can connect your devices directly to the internet. Okay, so as I've mentioned, we do have a variety of properties from houses, so rooms in shared houses, which are anything from 2 beds to 6 bedrooms, or we've got a block where they're ensuite bedrooms with a shared kitchen, and that's no more than 6 bedrooms who share one kitchen. And we can also we work with another private accommodation supplier to offer studio accommodation should you want self-contained units. More information can be found on our website, and again I'll put the link in at the end. As mentioned before, they are all within walking distance of the campus, and that's the Stoke campus, although I'm not sure if any of you will be based at Stafford, but we also do have accommodation in Stafford that we can offer. Okay, so frequently common questions from students. So we're starting in January, you might only want it for 2 terms. That's absolutely fine. We work with landlords to ensure that we've got accommodation offer as a short-term let. Excuse me, or even for 1 term. So when you're starting to inquire with us to look for accommodation, we'd send you links of all the accommodations we've got available. If you wanted to know further, we can do an online video viewing. And then if you decide on a property, you would ask you the dates of when you'll be arriving and when you'll be leaving. And we'll double check with the landlord, and we can do a tenancy for that duration. One thing you need to be mindful of, which is different from Res Life, is in this country we have what's called council tax, which is run by the local council. Now, students are exempt if you're full-time, and you can get your student exemption certificate off your portal once you're signed up at the university. It's very important you get that and submit it to GreenPad or directly to the council, so to ensure that you're not charged for council tax. As mentioned, if you require a property, what we'd like you to email us or contact us via our online chat on the web page. We'd need to know whether you're just an individual or whether there's a group of friends. Again, the move-in date and the duration, and most importantly, what your budget is. So we'd always ask for your budget to include bills. So that would be your total weekly amount, bearing in mind that what you can afford, but that affordability does include your gas, electric, water and Wi-Fi. There's no added extra costs. The other thing you'd need with GreenPad is a UK guarantor. That is needed on all tenancies, unfortunately. But if you don't have a UK guarantor, so a UK guarantor has to have lived in the country for 5 years or have a UK passport in order to be your guarantor. Now, the guarantor's responsibilities are that if you do not pay rent, then the responsibility goes to the guarantor. We do have links with local companies if you do not have a UK guarantor, where you can sign up at a small charge to have an insurance with a UK guarantor company, or alternatively you could pay the rent up front prior to you moving in. Don't worry too much about that. That's little things that we can go through in more detail if you find a property with us that you like. Bear with me, sorry. Okay. So I've mentioned about how our online chat and how to contact us. So we are open. This is British Greenwich Mean Time, so British time, 10 till 4, Monday to Friday. So if you do use the online chat via our website, be mindful that we can only answer during those times. I put our telephone number on there. And we do have our website the email address, and we do have our website for the properties, which I'll just actually put into the chat now. So that's our website. So you can have a scan through and look at all the different types of accommodation that we offer. I have also, because we were part of the Students' Union, you may decide you don't want to go through Res Life or GreenPad, and you may find a property online somewhere else. So what I'm really concerned about is I do not want you really to sign a contract without making sure everything is correct. So I have put some useful documents here. What I will do after I've finished speaking, I'll insert all the links into the chat. What is really useful is the property checklist. So if you're going elsewhere to search for accommodation, these are all the questions you should ask. And then also the step-by-step guide to renting with GreenPad. So it shows you the whole rental journey of what to expect at any point. And that's it for GreenPad. If you've got any questions, pop them in the chat and I will put the links on there in the chat for you.
Amazing. Thank you, Michelle. And thanks to Paul and Ben for your amazing presentations as well. I'm sure the students have been able to learn a lot about accommodation. And to the students, we've got to the question and answer session now. So if you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat, or if you prefer, you can also unmute your microphone and ask the questions. Okay, so we've got a few minutes for our questions and answers. So please pop any questions you have in the chat box or unmute your microphone.
Just while we wait on that, Michelle, I just wondered, I did forget to mention the London accommodation. Now, looking through the list of attendees, I don't believe we've got anyone who's looking for London here, but if there's a recording going out, it might be good to just mention for people who may be tuning in after the event. So just to make you aware, if you are looking to study at the London accommodation, although the university don't manage accommodation down in near here east, what we do is we liaise with some providers there, and we've got I've put in the chat a link to some of those providers that we have, so that you can contact them directly about applying. But also there's some information on the slide here. Just bear with me. Which will tell you a little bit about the different types of accommodation, the prices and the distances to campus. So just so you know, the links in the chat there as well, to give you a bit more information on that.
Thank you, Paul. Thanks for that for the London accommodation, because I think it's going to be useful for some of the students who aren't in the chat in the webinar at the moment. We've got a couple questions coming in on via the chat, and students asking if they can make payment for accommodation after deposit's been paid but prior to cash issuance.
Yeah, so in terms of the accommodation application, we do ask for a £50 prepayment at the point of accepting an offer of accommodation. So up until that point, you don't need to pay anything in terms of the accommodation. We can make you an offer and you can keep it there so that you make sure that you have your offer from the university first. If you do pay the £50, then we do have a cut-off point, which will be in your license agreement and the T's and C's that will be sent out to you. Whereas if you withdraw before that date, we will return the £50 prepayment that's been made. But yeah, you don't have to make a payment before that point. So to make the application and to receive the offer, you don't need to make any payment. It's just if you want to accept that offer, we do ask for £50, and then there are options of how to pay following that, which you won't need to do until you're actually resident with us here.
Perfect. Thank you, Paul. And can I put the same question to Michelle as well, if you're able to speak from private accommodation side of things?
Yeah, so with regards to payment, again, I sort of mentioned it in the slides. So if you've got a UK guarantor, again, you don't pay anything apart from, again, we do charge a £50 holding deposit. And then you've also got the security deposit. The difference is the holding deposit is paid back to you on completion of your tenancy agreement or it's deducted off the amount of the security deposit. Security deposits can vary from £100 to £350. This is a payment up front that you pay and then you get back at the end of your tenancy should there be no damage to your property. But with regards to rent, we don't require the rent until you move in. But if you don't have a UK guarantor, then you can either sign up to a scheme or choose to pay your rent up front, and that'll be at the point of signing your tenancy agreement. Hope that helps.
It does, yes. Thank you, Michelle. And just because you've just spoken and you've also answered this question in the chat, can we start with you this time, just in terms of how long the process takes for applying for accommodation?
Yeah, so I mean, it can be done within a week. It just depends on the application, what is included in the application, because if you do have some medical markers that we need to be aware of, then an extra step might be included where we just make contact with you from our student inclusion team just to make sure that we can support the needs that you have, and obviously that may determine what type of accommodation we need to put you in. So it can certainly be done within a week, but it may be longer if there are extra things that we need to take into consideration.
Perfect, thank you, Paul. Did you want to speak, Michelle?
Sorry. Yeah, so the other thing is, and the other thing we have to also consider is sometimes a lot of students, when they apply, are still in the process of getting their visas finalised. We can't offer accommodation until the visa is finalised. We can sort of, I don't know if it's the same with ResLife, whether you can still draw up the agreement, but we just can't get it all signed and everything until we have the visa dates.
Yeah, I think it's also worth mentioning that in terms of the on-campus accommodation, you won't be able to actually move into the accommodation until you've completed your enrolment as well. So it may be that sometimes we do enroll people when they arrive, and we can do it that way. But just to make you aware, I believe online enrolment will be opening within the next few days or the next week or so. So to do that as soon as you can and make sure that that part of it's done before you arrive, so that we've got most of that complete so that you can move in straight away.
Perfect, thank you, Paul. And just sort of reiterate what you said in terms of applying for accommodation, and correct me if I'm wrong, students can apply for accommodation on campus 48 hours after they've accepted their offer. So I think that answers the question. So 48 hours after they've accepted your offer, you can apply for accommodation. So you don't need to wait for your CAS or your interview or anything like that. And just in terms of the payment plans, Paul, do you want to answer that, please?
Yeah, that's fine. So we do tend to offer a different couple of options. So one option is to pay in full when you start that accommodation contract. The other option is to pay in 3 installments. So when it gets to a point of accepting your offer, that's when you'll decide, you'll get the option to choose either to pay as one payment or to pay in installments, which will be 3 installments, and it'll give you the dates and the amounts on that screen.
Thank you, Paul. And Michelle as well, you mentioned that it's a monthly payment for GreenPad, am I correct?
No, it can be termly, but obviously we don't tend to get many requests for termly from international students because they don't get the student loan. So most international students require monthly payments. So it depends whether they have a UK guarantor, like as mentioned before. If they don't have a UK guarantor or don't want to sign up to the scheme, they can pay up front, or if they sign up to the scheme, they can then choose to pay monthly.
Perfect, thank you, Michelle. Okay, we'll just take one last question that's come in. So how many months, in terms of the length of the agreement, for on-campus accommodation, so what's the minimum term in terms of the length of accommodation?
So in terms of on-campus accommodation, we would be looking to have agreements that run until Saturday the 29th of August, because as I mentioned before, that's when people will have to change over and from their accommodation. So that would be the minimum that we'd be looking for at the moment. So going up to the Saturday the 29th of August.
Perfect. Thank you, Paul. Okay. And can a room be changed after it's been assigned if a student isn't comfortable with the assignment?
Yes, it can be. Essentially, we know that sometimes students might be uncomfortable in an area where, you know, they're moving into this new social space. And what a student can do on the Res Life portal is request a room move, and then giving us that information of why they want to request that room move, and they can move into a different like for like area of their room. Essentially, if they wanted to, for example, upgrade to their room from a unsuited to an ensuited, if we have it available, we can do. But again, that will be a case of the change in the license agreement and the change in the weekly payments that would have that total kind of amount on the license agreement to be paid.
Perfect, thank you. And again, from a green card perspective, is a student able to sort of pull out of a tenancy agreement that's been signed for an accommodation?
Because it's a legally bound contract, they are unable to withdraw out of it. However, we had from students just dropping out of university or personal circumstances where they're taking a year off. We had 29 students approach us who needed to get out of their tenancy agreement, and of that we found 28 replacements for them. So chances that we can find replacements is fine. If it's a case of moving rooms in a house, so it's the same landlord, that's again a discussion with the landlord, and we can't see that being a problem at all if they just wanted to move room. The other thing I wanted to say as well is obviously the months of the agreement. That just depends how long you're here. So if you're a lot of the international students are only here till May, we can accommodate that also.
Perfect, thank you. Thank you, Michelle. And Ben, did you have something to add as well?
Yeah, it was just a point because I heard that Michelle mentioned about the terms of the license agreement. So same with the university, it is a legally binding contract. Where we can support in moving to a different room, you will still have that liability within a contract as such. So I just want people to be aware of that. Essentially, what we need to ensure, both GreenPad and ourselves, is when you receive a license agreement, make sure you fully read it because you are signing a legally binding document. Okay.
Perfect, thank you, Ben. Okay, I did say we have one more question, but we do have two more in the chat, and we can take this very quickly just before we pull this session to a close. So you talked about this already, Paul, but just can you go over the enrollment required before a student's able to actually move into campus accommodation? So the student wants to know if it's face-to-face or online required.
Yeah, so I mean, both stages of enrolment would need to be completed. However, we can do that when you arrive if you haven't done it before. It's just better for us if that online element of enrolment is completed, obviously before you get here, so that it's then an easier sort of process for us when you arrive.
Perfect, thank you, Paul. And the final question is, does the student have to have booked accommodation before arriving in the UK?
I believe that's based on visa requirements that they would need to, if I'm correct.
Yeah, and I can touch on this as well. Michelle, did you have something to add just before?
No, Ben's basically said it. It all depends on your visa and your right to rent check. So basically, if you've arrived in the country and expect accommodation straight away, there is legalities that we have to follow. We have to follow visa legislation, your right to rent checks. So the chances of turning up in the office, say on a Monday morning, and expecting to be able to move into the accommodation that Monday afternoon with GreenPad anyway is a really tight schedule, and it puts a lot of pressure, and there's a lot of checks that we have to do. So I'd highly advise that you book your accommodation in advance. Otherwise you might have to check into a hotel or an Airbnb for a couple of days, I presume that's the same with you guys at Res Life.
Absolutely. So whilst we, the university or the government doesn't require students to have accommodation booked before arrival, it is highly advisable that students book their accommodation beforehand, as it can be quite expensive for a student to stay in a hotel or find other alternative accommodation options. But yes, we have come to the end of the webinar today. Thank you so much to Paul, Ben, and Michelle for talking to the students about the accommodation options. I think they've learned so much, and there's so many questions have been answered as well. And to the students, if you have any questions, Paul, Ben, and Michelle have very kindly provided lots of links in the chat box, and these will also be available to you as well via email. So please make sure you are engaging with our teams and checking the website for more information. If you haven't booked accommodation already, this is time, now is time to do so. Accommodation applications are currently open. If you have any questions, please reach out to us or please contact our recruitment team at internationalrecruitment@staffs.ac.uk and we can signpost you to the correct team. Does anyone have anything to add just before I bring the session to a close? Nope. Amazing. Well, thank you to everyone, and I'm wishing you all a lovely rest of today. Have a good day, have a good evening from wherever in the world you are, and we're hoping to see you in Staffordshire soon.